reporter. He joins us on Unsportsmanlike. What's more surprising to you, that Mike McDaniel's still the coach of the Dolphins, or that Tua is still the starting quarterback for the Dolphins?
Oh, wow. I haven't, based on my information, I haven't been expecting a change to either, since the season started. I guess you'd probably have to say coach, because he doesn't have $54 million in guaranteed salary next year. So I think Tua probably gets more rope, but I don't get the sense that they are about to make a change at either spot. And McDaniel did his press conference yesterday, which tells you they're not changing coaches this week. And he said that Tua would continue to start, which tells you they're not changing quarterbacks this week. So, yeah, but it's ugly. Look, I mean, it's ugly. They had been in the games. They had been, you could make the case that they were fighting for, playing hard for McDaniel. Sunday, I think, cuts against that. That was a terrible performance all the way around, and it's certainly not the thing that's going to help anybody.
Graz, I know Mike McDaniel is quirky, but the slip-in comment that he made when he affirmed that Tua will be the starting quarterback and saying that I hope he doesn't throw 10 picks, was it Mike McDaniel's decision to stay with Tua as the starting quarterback going into Week 8?
Oh, yeah. No, I think, look, I mean, you're not going to – I think the coach probably knows he's on thin ice, right? So if you're going to tell the coach what to do and then evaluate him based on the results, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's how that organization operates.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I think it's McDaniel's decision, and I think his, coaches, as you know, a lot of times will use those press conferences to talk to the team, right? Like through the media, send a message. And I think that's come on, man, let's go. Let's start playing a little better. And I'm sure it's nothing too much different from what he's saying to Tua in the, in private.
Graz, as far as we're concerned, it's a foregone conclusion that they're all going to be out in Miami. Is there a scenario where you see, even if things don't turn around, where they're able to keep their jobs, head coach, GM, and even Tua? Look,
I mean, again, I don't, we're assessing it from the outside, saying these are the kinds of situations where change happens. I have not heard from inside that building that they are, considering making a change. But it stands to reason, right? If this season continues like this, if they end up 3-14 or whatever, that we will watch that situation. Tua is going to be tough. He does have $54 million in guaranteed salary next year. That's if you want to move on from that. That's tricky. It can be done, but it comes with pain, and now you have to find another quarterback, and you're strapped with dead money and all that kind of stuff. So
they'll be picking high enough.
Yeah, but I mean, my point is they are, they're in this situation that they never imagined being in. You talk about 2 years ago, things looked good, and there was reason to believe there would be success. So I think they're reassessing all that right now, and the hope is that it turns around. But obviously, I think we sit here and look at it from the outside and say it's hard to see where the turnaround comes from. I think the next couple weeks are interesting for the Dolphins, because to what extent do they sell off the pieces of their roster that other teams are interested in ahead of the trade deadline? And I think when we get a couple weeks from now to trade deadline day and we have a sense of that, we might be able to make some stronger conclusions about the short-term decision-making there. We're talking with Dan Graziano, ESPN NFL analyst and reporter here on Unsportsmanlike. What other coaches are you looking at and saying you better win, and you better win soon? I'm always going to defer and say, the people I'm talking to around the league, these are the situations they're watching, because I don't want to be in a position where I'm saying, this is
sure,
right.
Based on reporting.
If I have information that someone's in trouble, I'll tell you. But right now, I think it's more about who around the league is what situations are being looked at for potential change. And obviously, Miami. I think, the Giants with Jackson Dart, I think, are in a good position. But Sunday was pretty rough loss. If you get to the end of the season, you're not just evaluating the quarterback's development, you're evaluating the entire direction of the franchise. So I think they're under pressure to win there. I think they're under pressure to do something probably in Arizona. Now, all their losses have been by 4 points or less, but they have lost a lot. And I think if Kyler Murray comes back and they start playing better, that certainly speaks well of all of them. I don't, Aaron Glenn, if they don't win at all, if they go 0-17, sure. But I don't get the sense that they're eager to give up on him very soon. Where else? I'm trying to think. Cleveland, I think they like Stefanski, and I don't think they necessarily hold the quarterback mess against him there. So he's probably okay. But where else are we even? I'm trying to. Yeah,
I think those are a lot of the names. Honestly,
I mean, with his, Like Pete Carroll got a 3-year deal with Vegas, and that's not going well. Like would they pull the plug on that after a year?
It's like a reassignment.
Yeah. So
we want you as a team ambassador.
Hall of Fame coach possibly, but it's certainly not going well in the early going. But we're not even halfway through the season, so who knows?
Yeah, but there's a lot of teams.
Some of this could go
just done.
Some of this could start go. Yes, which is we were just talking about that at breakfast with Dominique and Jason McCourty. Like what as a player, like how do you get up for these games when it's not even Halloween yet, and you're like your season's over. Like it takes so much to get ready and play these
You're
games.
asking the wrong guy over here. He's never experienced that ever.
Never.
No. He's never missed the playoffs when he was playing.
No, that's pretty good.
No, I didn't say that.
Never had a losing record. Excuse me.
Never had a losing record.
Weren't you weren't on one of those Giants teams I covered that
No.
like at the end of Coughlin? No, you were gone by then.
No.
Yeah.
He was winning.
No. Graz,
Good for you.
Yeah. I was fortunate. Graz, can the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East?
Sure. I mean, why not? Like they are. Nobody wins it 2 years in a row, so the Eagles can't by rule. Dallas, of all that, like if you look at everyone's offense and everyone's defense in the NFC East, what's the best group? It's the Cowboys' offense, probably by kind of a lot. I think at this point they are humming it. And yeah, it was a depleted Washington team that they beat on Sunday, but the defense did look better. They made some schematic changes, and Brian Schottenheimer, who by the way seemed like a pretty good hire so far. Like he's done a pretty good job considering how badly that hire was ripped. He spent a lot of time in the defensive meeting rooms this past week, and I think that had an impact on the defensive players just in terms of just like, the message. And I think part of the message is, honestly, as ridiculous as this sounds, is like, look, guys, I mean, if you're going to give up a touchdown, be quick about it. Like we'll get the ball back and we'll score one of our own, right? Like no, but I mean, like the idea is like take some chances. Maybe you make a play, and maybe you get beat, sure. But like the way our offense is going right now, giving Dak the ball back is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Understood.
So I think and look, they'll get some players healthy on that side of the ball. But if Dallas can be a top 25 defense, that offense is good enough that I think you could get into the playoffs in a 7-team NFC field.
Let's go from the NFC East to the AFC East. The Patriots are sitting there atop of the division. They have that win over the Bills. And if you look at their schedule, they have a favorable stretch coming up. Same question about the Cowboys. Do you think that the Patriots, when it's all said and done, could take the AFC East crown?
I don't think there's any question that they can. I mean, you can certainly still favor the Bills as the team that's proven it and has won it, 5 years in a row. But no, I don't. I mean, Patriots won in Buffalo. Like, if you beat Buffalo at home, you now have the tiebreaker and probably a decent lead at that point. So no, I think they're to be taken seriously. The way Drake May is playing, assuming he can keep himself healthy, the way he's playing deserves to be respected on that level. I think they are. They're legit. Look at their roster top to bottom. Do they have the talent that Buffalo has? Probably not. But the way their quarterback is playing, the way their schedule sets up, and with that win already in their pocket, I think we need to take them very seriously.
Graz, just to take people behind the scenes, 2 seconds before you came on, CC said to you, how about the Packers? What's up with them? And your response was what?
Right now, they're the 1 seed in the NFC. If the playoffs started today, they would have a bye. They are. So we should all have such problems as the Packers have. Look, the Lions are obviously for real. We know this. And the Packers, the Packers have not played their best, but they're still 4-1-1. So what if they start playing their best? What if the offense comes together at a different level? What if, the 3-sack game from Micah Parsons is a sign that he's taking it up another notch? I think the Packers are good. I just don't think. I think we'll get to the end of the season, whether they're division champs or whether they're wild card. I think they're going to be a very tough team to beat in the playoffs. I just looking at the roster, there's just not much not to like about the Packers. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Like they're not. They feel like they should be better.
Yeah.
Right. When you watch them, but I mean, Arizona's not a terrible team. Arizona does not get blown out. They're not the Dolphins. It's everyone who's beaten Arizona has had to work pretty hard to do it. So I don't think you necessarily hold that performance against Green Bay.
Graz has to go to SportsCenter. So
I do.
That's what I was told.
Oh, yeah, we do the overreactions with Jeff Saturday.
Glad Nuno knows your schedule.
Thanks
and somehow you don't.
Thanks for letting me
Dan
know.
Graziano, you'll see him on Get Up. You see him on SportsCenter, even though he doesn't realize that, and Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. By the way, NBA season starts tonight, which is another great reason to go. Yes.
I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
How about that?
ESPN Bet has all your live betting on there for the NBA games, plus the parlays available in the featured parlays section. How about the bucket getters? Shea, 30-plus points. KD, 20-plus. Luka, 30-plus. Steph, 20-plus. That's plus 324 with ESPN Bet. From kickoff to cash out, ESPN Bet has the tools you need to score more on game days. Bet smarter with stats at your fingertips. Get personalized parlays built just for you. And with your fantasy team synced right in the app, you can back your squad. Right now, new customers get $100 in bonus bets when you bet $10. Sign up with promo code USL to get started. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York. Gives us items in and around sports, entertainment, his life that he is over. Pat, floor is yours.
I'm excited about the World Series. I'm excited to see Vlad Jr. and the Blue Jays in it. I really am. But I really wanted to see the Mariners make it. I really wanted to see the Big Dumper in the World Series. I think it would have been so much more fun seeing Big Dumper versus Shohei, like at probable MVP versus probable MVP. The Mariners in their first World Series ever. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
All the games can be heard right here on ESPN Radio. The road to the World Series that Pat doesn't want to travel on goes through ESPN Radio.
I don't think it's wrong to say that a lot of people thought that the Mariners were a compelling story and they felt emotionally tied to this team who took us on a very interesting ride this season. The Big Dumper was so fun to follow along. And we love an underdog story, a franchise that's never been to the World Series, right there on the precipice of making it. A lot of people wanted to see the Mariners advance.
But are we going to act like the Blue Jays are not also an underdog story? They haven't been to the World Series in, what, 32 years?
Decades,
yeah.
I mean, and they were in last place last season. They were down 2-0 in this series to Seattle. They were down 3-2 in this series to Seattle, and they were down 3-1 in the Game 7.
They're not. They have the best record in the AL. They destroyed the Yankees. So they're not an underdog story.
But they're They haven't been to the World Series in 3 decades.
Okay, but this version of them is not an underdog story. And also, Pat, as someone who has to produce the show, I appreciate them being in the Eastern time zone. It's just a little easier for guests.
Oh, cool. Vlad Guerrero Jr. coming on. That's awesome.
Are we talking about the Toronto's not an East Coast team? I mean, like, they're on the East Coast, kind of, but, like, they're not an East Coast. Come on.
See, I thought this was all setting up
Anti-Canada.
for Pat to somehow say, I'm looking forward to the World Series, comma, to root against Shohei. Period.
I'm not rooting against Shohei. I was just pointing out facts that you guys wanted to ignore.
Yeah, it sounds like you was rooting against Shohei.
In a way, you would almost like the Dodgers winning and Shohei going 0 for the series and getting shelled in the first inning as a pitcher, because that kind of makes your theme that they win in spite of him.
I mean this so genuinely. I do not care at all who wins this World Series. I have no dog in the fight.
Yeah, but if Shohei goes 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, then all of a sudden he said, the game that we saw, Game 4 of the NLCS, that was an aberration. Shohei Ohtani's bad in the postseason.
Yeah.
Pat can't wait for that take. He can't
love
wait
it.
to be right about that take.
I don't
Would be
think
nice.
either team impacts one way or another based on who wins last night, because, meaning they're both great stories.
You think the Dodgers are so good it doesn't matter?
No, it's not even, yes, but that's not even what I was getting at. I was getting at, like, with all of the big events in sports, you want mega stars in those events. And the Dodgers have a mega star that is so big, it provides for whatever the other team is doing. Cool. That's all, like Vlad Guerrero Jr. They get on base a ton. They have Max Scherzer, who, we could see Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw in a World Series in 2025. But Shohei Ohtani is such a huge star that the opponent is going to be a great storyline no matter what. But he's like 1.5 stars. You just need to be a half a version of a star to play against him. He's that big.
Nuno was mad that the Big Dumper kept hitting home runs.
Why?
Because it was bad
saw
for
this-
Aaron Judge.
Yeah, this thing, like, they're trying to act like a record. Like, oh, Cal Raleigh set the American League record for most home runs in a season because they're including the postseason and the regular season. Like, bro, there's no such thing as that. Like,
Bro.
Yeah, I saw Yankees fans getting very upset about that as if it was some official stat. They were just pointing out that if you combine it, that is technically true. But yeah, we know Aaron Judge's 62 is still in the record books, but Yankees fans were getting their panties in a bunch.
These are the same Yankees fans who celebrated Aaron Judge getting the AL home run record like it was the MLB home run record.
That's
by the way.
different,
It's
Pat.
not different. It's the same thing. That was a fake record just for Aaron Judge. Nobody else cared.
Feels like Vegas East
As a Yankees fan, I actually agree with Pat on that one.
Do you?
Yeah. The
You didn't care about
The
AL?
record is Barry Bonds. It's what, 73 home runs? That's the record.
People masked what
What
they
it is.
wanted to say by calling it the AL home run record.
Yeah, they basically wanted to say the non-steroid
That's
Yeah.
what they wanted to say. They
era
found a way of
home run, the
positioning
clean
it.
home run record. That's what
It
they're
was a
trying to
nice,
do.
clean, easy way of positioning it by saying the AL home run record,
Yeah.
as if that's something we talk about all the time.
And
So,
now
like-
Cal Raleigh has it.
So if Springer wins, if Toronto wins, George Springer finally has a clean World Series
Hell no.
championship.
Hell no.
I mean,
He's
it's
not going to let him
Canada.
get away with that.
No, absolutely not. We're going to tear up the hell out of it. I don't know how you tear up a championship, but I would find a way. We can call the White House.
Hey,
Get
Rob
Trump on
Manfred
it.
called the
Let's
trophy
go.
a piece of metal. You can tear off those.
Next one, Pat.
Brandon Graham is coming out of retirement for the Philadelphia Eagles. I love Brandon Graham. He's one of my favorite Eagles of all time. He made one of the most important plays, maybe the biggest play in the history of the franchise. This feels like a mistake. Coming off
For the Eagles or for him?
for both, but mostly for him. Coming off the couch mid-season doesn't seem like something that's going to end well for him. I hope it works out. I don't see it
Work for Joe
working
Flacco.
Flacco. I mean, Flacco's the coming off the couch guy.
Flacco's a quarterback, not a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Defensive linemen hit people on every single snap.
But can
and
he
I
be a
can tell you,
situational
as
guy?
somebody in their early 40s, hitting somebody doesn't feel good. Brandon Graham is in his mid to late 30s. I can promise you, it's not going to feel good when he's running into somebody every single play.
Mentally, when you've already turned the page and you're living life as a non-football player, how difficult would that be to turn that back on, especially
You can't.
mid-season
You
like
can't.
that?
He's a civilian.
Yeah, but
You
he's
can't-
not
you can't.
playing the
He's
Brandon Graham
he's
role, though.
37 years old.
But he's playing the Zadarius Smith role, who he just retired.
A situational pass rusher?
Situational.
Yeah, it's still effort.
I'm not suggesting it's not. I'm saying it's going to be less of a role than he's
there
ever
is-
had in his
there
career.
is no other position where you have to exert max effort on a football field more than pass rush.
What about kicker?
Oh,
If I could hit him right now.
yeah.
If
Oh, wow.
This is one of those points where you just, like Nuno says, sometimes you just want to shake nerds. I literally want to shake him.
This is why people shake nerds.
Yes, this is exactly why. This is exactly why.
It's not my fault the Giants gave your number to a kicker that missed 2 extra points on
No,
Sunday.
but it is your fault for saying it. It is your fault for saying it, sir.
All right,
next
Pat.
one.
I know you guys love Aaron Glenn. I don't know how he survives this season. I don't think he makes it to the end of the season. He looks so in over his head. It looks so bad week in and week out. Pete Carroll is bad, and we barely care about that, but we care a lot about this Aaron Glenn situation. When you call out the media over pulling your quarterback, and then you pull your quarterback, after all of this happened, when you, for some reason, decided to shun Aaron Rodgers, I just don't see how this ends with him being the coach of the Jets at the end of the year.
Well, listen, man, it started off rough for Dan Campbell. He was able to right the ship, right? Everybody, one day, started out 0-10-1. Everybody was going back to the introductory press conference and talking about how awkward it was, being a kneecap biter and all of that stuff. It was all bad. Now everybody loves that stuff.
Yep.
They say, oh, Dan Campbell, such a great culture guy. Just give it time to fully bake when it comes to Aaron Glenn. The situation against the Carolina Panthers at quarterback, it was clunky. But remember, Justin Fields got knocked out of that game. They had to check him for a concussion. Meanwhile, in comes Tyrod Taylor. He ends up leading them to a scoring drive. So I think that was the impetus behind making the change at halftime. Again, I understand defending his players in the media and then potentially pivoting and going in a different direction. I thought they needed to change quarterbacks. I'm done with the Justin Fields roller coaster. But now with Tyrod, a professional quarterback, you're going to have some winning involved with this thing. So we'll see what happens, what ends up going on the rest of the way. He's got to have wins. He can't go winless, but I think Aaron Glenn finds a way to keep his job going into 2026.